Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we turn stacks of sources into immediate understanding. Today, we are focusing on a city that is just this living mosaic of history and sheer resilience. Semarang, the capital of Central Java, Indonesia.
It really is. Semarang is a city that's fundamentally built on cross-pollination. Its location as a major port made it a true meeting point, a fusion zone for Javanese, Chinese, and Dutch influences for centuries.
So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the sources on how Semarang has preserved and, even amplified its cultural identity. We'll be looking at its famous batik industry, its transformation of these heavy colonial sites like Kota Lama, and how it survives.
And if you really boil down the sources, the whole story is built on two pillars: acculturation and resilience. This isn't just about different cultures living side by side. It's a dynamic process where they've all fused into something new, something the community is now actively leveraging.
Okay, let's start with something really foundational then, batik. It's arguably Indonesia's biggest cultural export. UNESCO recognized it in 2009, but its history goes so much deeper.
So much deeper. The sources are very clear on this. We have evidence of batik going all the way back to the 10th century Hindu Mataram kingdom. Specifically, this one inscription, the Gulung Gulung inscription from 929 AD.
And that's the part I found incredible. It's not just a vague mention. The inscription details actual technical steps, like wusu wusu,
which is the specialized combing of the cotton.
Right, and mamukat noni, which is about dyeing the cloth with noni roots. That's over 1,000 years ago.
That kind of documented continuity is it's incredibly rare. It establishes batik as authentically Indonesian long before any major Chinese or Western influence.
And it's so established that I saw in the sources, even the Dutch have formally adopted the term.
Yes, it's right there in the Vandale, the main Dutch dictionary. It defines batikan as the specific Indonesian method. It's a complete cultural adoption of the word.
But Semarang batik still has its own unique identity. What makes it stand out visually?
The color, first and foremost. The base colors are just so bold. If you look at batik from, say, Demak, it might be light brown. Kudu's often uses a blue base, but Semarang,
it's the bright oranges and reds, they just pop.
Exactly, they really jump out. And the motifs themselves are very freeform, very inspired by the local environment. You'll see tamarind, bamboo, butterflies, beetles. It feels very alive.
And this is where that idea of acculturation comes roaring back. The base is Javanese, but the sources point to a really strong Chinese influence layered on top.
The fusion is absolute. You get these Javanese-based patterns, but then the artists weave in Chinese mythological elements. You'll see peacocks, phoenix birds, even the goddess Shiwangmu. It's a conversation happening right there on the cloth.
So this heritage is profound, but it's also a serious economic engine. It's a creative industry, mostly small shops, maybe 4 to 20 workers.
And that's key. Its economic value goes back centuries. Even during the Dutch East India Company era, the VOC, it was a top export. Between 1774 and 1777, it was the third highest export right after tobacco and rice.
That history is one thing, but the sources also detail how resourceful these artisans had to be during the COVID-19 pandemic. These are often the most financially vulnerable groups. How did they possibly navigate that?
That was the ultimate test of their resilience. Because they're small and rely on creativity, not capital, they had to pivot instantly. Many shifted back to what's known as the putting out system.
Can you explain that for our listener? What does that system actually involve?
Of course. It means the central workshop model just stopped. Workers took materials home and were paid per piece, maybe 50,000 to 300,000 rupiah per cloth. It kept them employed, but it also shifted all the risk onto them.
So how did they make that rig pay off?
Through community networks, online marketing, and extreme creativity. They used social media to sell directly. They offered virtual batik classes for income.
The sources had some amazing examples of this.
They really did. Yeah. There was one workshop, Batik Mutiara Hasta, that created a unique corona motif to document the crisis. Then you have Z-Batik Semarang. Their legendary motifs got them international orders from the Netherlands, Germany, Japan. They even started growing their own indigo dye to cut costs. That's how they survived.
That is incredible. Okay, let's shift from the fabric of the people to the stone and mortar of the city. We have to talk about Kota Lama, the old town.
Right, Kota Lama. It was designed as the Dutch colonial business district, the Little Netherland. A fortified, highly segregated city. You had a zone for the Dutch, the Chinese district, or Pesanan, and the Islamic community in Kalman.
But for decades, this legacy wasn't a source of pride at all. It was almost an embarrassment.
It was nearly lost. Before the revitalization efforts in the 2000s, people called it a dead city. It was neglected, falling apart, always flooding.
And the revitalization program in 2019 was transformative.
A massive investment. They focused on the visual image, restoring the streetscapes and the facades of key buildings like Marba, Spiegel, and the GPI Church.
Just to pause there, GPIB is the Protestant church in Western Indonesia, one of the oldest in the country.
Correct. So they cleaned up the physical image to make it appealing. And speaking of appealing, let's talk about the most famous landmark there. Lawang Suwu. 1,000 doors.
That name, 1,000 doors. It can't be literal, can it?
No, it's figurative. The name comes from all its large windows and arches that just look like countless doors. It's a stunning piece of New Indies-style architecture.
And originally it was just the head office for the Dutch East Indies Railway Company. Purely functional.
Exactly. But that beautiful building has a truly dark past that has shaped its modern reputation.
This is when the Japanese army occupied the area in 1942.
Yes. The basement of one of the buildings, Building B, was used as a dungeon for torture and execution. After the war, that history, plus local legends, gave the site a very spooky image. A popular horror film in 2007 basically cemented that in the national mind.
That's a huge challenge for tourism. You want to preserve history, but you don't want an image that repels visitors. It's a tough spot for city planners.
A profound challenge. The big renovation in 2011 was specifically aimed at eliminating that spooky image. The goal was to turn it into a profitable, appealing tourist attraction, a clean historical monument, not a haunted house.
And that leads us straight to this modern concept, digital placemaking. What is that exactly, and how does it connect to all this physical renovation?
Digital placemaking is basically using social media to shape how people see and interact with a place. The renovation of Kota Lama didn't just clean up the city, it created a perfect, photo-friendly backdrop, which spurred its digital popularity.
The Instagram data we saw was fascinating. Something like 187,000 posts with the hashtag Kota Lama Semarang. And what are people actually posting pictures of?
Well, that's what's so telling. They are overwhelmingly drawn to the aesthetic, the visual appeal. The most popular spots weren't museums, but the restored building facades and the streets themselves.
The Marba building, the GPI church. But the number one thing was just the streetscapes, the general architectural backdrop.
That's the core finding. The visual component, that clean, restored, little Netherland look, is what matters for self-promotion on social media. People are using the city as a high-quality set for their own content.
Let's shift one last time away from architecture and back to Semarang's living traditions. We need to talk about the Dugduran tradition.
Dugduran, a wonderful cultural festival to welcome Ramadan. It's been happening since 1881.
And the name. It sounds like exactly what it is.
It's pure onomatopoeia. The Dug is the sound of the big drum at the Kulman Grand Mosque, and that's followed by the dur sound of firecrackers. It's a sensory announcement that the fasting month is beginning.
And it culminates in the Warakun Carnival. That creature sounds like pure fusion, like everything we've been discussing.
It's the perfect symbol for Semarang's history of acculturation. It's a mythological hybrid, a goat's legs for the Javanese element, a dragon's head for the Chinese influence, and a Barak's body, which references Islamic mythology.